Imagine you're tasked with leading a century-old insurance company into the digital age while maintaining its core values. How do you balance tradition with innovation? We interviewed Christine Theodorovics, CEO of Baloise Luxembourg, to learn more about Baloise's digital transformation. I'm Philip, co-founder of the Engage Institute. We offer innovative training solutions for insurance companies worldwide. Do you struggle to capture the knowledge of your experts? Contact us. We'll record engaging interviews with them for you to share. Now, join me as we delve deeper into today's topic together.
Today on the show, I have a great pleasure to welcome Christine Theodorovics. Hi, Christine. How are you doing?
Hello, Philippe. I'm very good. What about you?
I'm excited to have a nice chat with you. Christine, you were appointed CEO of Baloise Luxembourg about a year ago. How does it feel?
Oh, it still feels very good. I'm looking into my first year. I'm still very excited about the new role and I really enjoy it. And now it's the time where you have the feeling, at least, that you have some sort of overview about what's going on. It takes some time, but yeah, still very exciting, still very happy that I took this opportunity.
Well, you know the finance industry very well because I understand you've worked for more than 20 years in different roles in finance, in banking. And I would like to jump in something very important right away. I understand that you've run 20 marathons, several triathlons, and an Ironman. Aren't you bored now?
Oh, no, I'm not bored. I haven't been running marathons for some years anymore, but that was in early times. I used to run 2 marathons a year and afterwards some triathlons in order to get some variety in the endurance training.
Of course.
But that was to get in a good shape for the main reason, which was Alpinism, not to have a problem with the condition if you're up in the mountain, which is much more demanding than any marathon or triathlon at the end of the days. But nowadays I don't do that anymore. I'm just a regular sports person.
Oh. What is the most interesting alpinist experience you had, actually?
Well, interesting. I could fill hours now talking about the mountains, and that's not the sense of this podcast. But I think one of the most moving ones was climbing finally the Matterhorn for me, the Cervino, the Serva, already 10 years ago. But that was very exciting, very touching, because I've been seeing this mountain for many, many years. I've been skiing in Zermatt every single year at Eastern for 1 week. And I've always seen this beautiful mountain, but I never wanted to climb it because it's so overcrowded. And I don't want to go on a mountain to queue. Then I had really, by coincidence, the opportunity that I was just climbing another mountain. And then the next day, there was not very many people there. And I just decided to climb it the next day. And it worked out. And we were like all by ourselves on the summit. And this is like you would imagine something. And you cannot plan it like that. So this was one of the really great experiences. But there are many more. And I still enjoy mountaineering a lot.
You make it sound like it's easy, but from what I heard, and I haven't done it, but the Matterhorn there's quite a very difficult route to climb it. So it's not as easy as you make it sound like. You're CEO of Baloise Luxembourg. What does it mean to be a CEO?
To lead the company with a team successfully means business-wise, but also people-wise, obviously. So to be a good leader and create a good result. So that's my understanding with a good team. That's what I try to do here. But even more than that, as a CEO, you also have a lot of outside responsibilities, representation opportunities, but also duties somehow. It depends how you take it. I like to do that. Some people don't like that so much, but you represent the company at any given point of time to the external world. And if you're in a rather small country like Luxembourg, well, you do that all the time and you are very involved in the business community, also in the political community somehow of the country you're in. We are, after all, the biggest foreign insurer. There are 4 basic big insurers for non-life business here in Luxembourg, 2 very big ones, local ones. And then we are an important employer, we are an important company here, important also for the Swiss community here in Luxembourg. Although it might seem small from the country perspective, you still have a stakeholder role to play in the country. And so that's also something which I'm embracing, being present as a CEO for Baloise.
Why did you accept that challenge, actually?
Because it's very interesting. It's a very good mix. As I just said, it's small, but within the country, it's very big. We have 12-13% of market share. You have some impact in the local industry. I'm in the board of the local insurance association because it's an important part of the business community here. What I really liked about the challenge is also it's not only the local business. Obviously, we have the local life and non-life business, but there's also an extension to that, or a very important part, which is the international life business, which spans all over Europe. I mean, we have business in Portugal, in Italy, France, Belgium, whatever. And also Liechtenstein is a country which belongs to my responsibility because it is present in this international life business, which takes advantage of this freedom of service in the European Union. So this is something on top from the normal local business. You also have this international perspective. And part of my role is also in the group. There's the group executive board and the group strategic group, which consists of the group executive board and the CEOs. And so this is something which I thought is a very interesting combination of having a local responsibility plus international business, and then also have a role in shaping the group strategy and running the group.
So it sounds like 12 hours a day is not enough.
You have to be very efficient.
I'm sure you do. So you're very efficient, but what do you hope to change? What is the main challenge for you?
I think one of the challenges here is that we're into a transformation in general. I mean, everybody's always in a transformation because everything's moving so fast. But I think that the pressure is on everywhere. There's a cost pressure. There's obviously a need for digitalization and automatization at any point of time everywhere. So this is not a nice to have, it's a must have. On the other hand, it's also that there were some changes in the team here. My predecessor retired, some people of the team retired, so we are staffing. So that means that the team is new. The COMEX and the extended COMEX team is new or partially new. And that means that the entire dynamics, I'm new as well here to the team. And so the dynamics change, the entire storming, norming, forming phases is the start
4
again.
phases. You mentioned about team. I read something where you said that your type of leadership is transparency and including people. How does that really work?
I've made the experience the more transparent you are and the more you explain to people the background of why something needs to be done or not done, the easier it is to accept it for everybody. So it means that even if you don't like a decision or if you're not happy about a decision, if you understand why it's taken or why you need to go in a certain direction, you might be able to accept it, although you're not happy with it. But it's difficult to accept something which you don't even understand and which is just imposed. That's why a big part of transparent leadership is communication.
You basically use a bit of the Swiss concept of the direct democracy into your company. Is that what you...
Well, yeah, 24 years in Switzerland. I also have the Swiss passport, so there's something which must have influenced me. But I think it's a good concept because, you might reach something quicker at the beginning if you just impose it and you just leave everybody in the dark. But I don't think it's sustainable because people then, if you don't buy in and if you don't understand, why would you follow it forever,
I'm very happy that you accepted this interview because I had some challenges once in a while to have, if I may say, female CEOs on the channel. And I think it's important, of course, to show that you can also have female CEOs, even in insurance industry. Is there any advice for young women who would like to become you in some years from now?
I'm not sure I can give a lot of advice. The only thing I usually say is that don't be shy, don't hold back and apply for things and just go for it, which is maybe not automatically given with some of the female colleagues. I think the younger generation is more self-confident and there's a lot of change already to see. If I look back to myself 20, 25 years ago, I think the environment has changed a lot. So I would just advise, just apply for things, go for it. If somebody offers you a job or some bigger role, don't ask whether you can really do it. Just try to do it because there's usually a good reason why somebody asks you to do something because the person thinks you are able to do it. So no need to ask whether you're really able to do it, but just jump into it and do it. So in an equal relationship nowadays, the young couples, I see that they are very equal in their relationship. So I don't think there should be a big difference between the young men and the young women anymore.
Right. So things are changing. You're part of the Global Strategic Board. What is strategy in an insurance company? What does that mean?
Well, the thing is, each insurance company has to find more or less a strategic direction and then follow it up. We are into a strategic circle that has been defined. The Global Strategic Board, as I mentioned before, is rather a get-together of all the CEOs plus the group executive board, where we discuss, it's executive meetings plus strategic decisions and other topics which come up, which we discuss as a group board. As I said, we have 4 country CEOs. There's Belgium, Switzerland, Germany, and Luxembourg, the Baloise family, plus the group function. So this group strategy board are those functions together which discuss strategy, but also daily business.
And what is the major topic on your table when you arrive at this global strategic board? What's the number one thing you have on your agenda?
The thing is, it's really depending a lot what is the focus of the meeting. Sometimes it's regulatory stuff which we just have to deal with. Be it a new directive which we implement from a group level, but which is then applicable to all the different countries. So this needs to be signed off. Obviously, there are certain new laws which are being launched. Do not forget, Switzerland is not part of the European Union. So we have this double thing also in terms of finance. We have the solvency legislation in the European countries, in the EU countries, plus the SST model in Switzerland. So there's a lot of the financial discussions. It's about planning, it's about budgeting, it's about making a common plan of all the 4 countries to reach the goals. It's a lot about how to communicate certain things from a group level, which we already tend to communicate locally, but also top-down. What do we as a group in the GSP want to communicate to our staff in all the countries to make sure we are somehow aligned and it's somehow standardized, that we have some sort of very similar messages, even though we're in different countries.
Okay. You mentioned different countries. You're mostly based in Switzerland and Europe, or do you extend beyond these borders?
No, we are very clearly in the 4 countries we are. Baloise has a very long, very rich history. It's a 160-year-old company. And there have been different phases. It comes from Switzerland originally, as the name says. The headquarters in Basel. And there have been countries even in the US at a certain point of time, 100 years ago and so on. Now we are very clear that we have the geographical footprint we have. So we are in the 4 countries, actually 5, because Liechtenstein is also a country, but it belongs to my responsibility. And so we position ourselves in these 4 markets. It's more about getting bigger within the countries and optimizing the businesses within the respective countries and becoming more efficient and grab some market share, steal it from our competitors in the markets. That's a little bit...
So, Christine, how do you steal these market shares from your competitors? Give us a secret. Come on.
Well, no. Yeah, you need to be very smart, because it's easy to just dump the prices, which I refuse to do, because, we need to be profitable after all, but now to be smart in the pricing mechanisms, to be smart in the technical, we are very strong in technical abilities in the entire group. So we are very good in the core business, actually. We are a good insurer. Very plain vanilla. That sounds sometimes boring, but boring is the new sexy. In the insurance world, you don't want to have anything completely surprising and unexpected. No, you just want it to work well. And I think that's what we stand for.
But we see some new companies, or what we call insurtech, or young insurance companies, financed very often also by the old established insurance companies. How do you compete with them?
I don't think we compete a lot with them. What we are doing is we cooperate with some of them. We have invested in some of them. We have quite a good portfolio there. We have stakes. Others of them we cooperate. They are cooperation partners. We try something out ourselves as well from times to times, but not this big style like the big insurers who invested, in many, many parts of the world in different insurtechs. I think that was also some sort of wave. It was fashionable to do that. And you had to do it at a certain point of time. And that's okay. I don't think it's wrong. Times just changed a little bit. Now we decided at least to go a little bit back more to the core. That doesn't mean that there's no interesting corporations and no interesting new business models. I just mentioned we are, for example, in the international market as well. So there's always room for new ideas. But basically we are an insurance company and not some fintech or something. And the other thing which I think was a learning also over the years is the culture is very different from the fintechs and the insurtechs than from a normal insurance company. You can work together in a corporation, but as soon as you try to incorporate it or breed it out of an insurance company, it's really hard, because either you cannot establish the culture you want there, like everybody had agile courses and things like that, which is good to be a little bit more agile, but you don't install and create such a startup culture by doing an agile course or something like that. So That's quite hard. And then on the other hand, when the insurtech is working and you want to take advantage of it in an insurance company and you try to incorporate it somehow, then what happens to a lot of insurance companies that you get those on board and then after a year you're left over with the IT system because the people left. So that's something which is difficult to manage for anybody. And there are still some examples they're working and others less. But yeah, it's a development we are all experiencing here.
But does that mean that in 5 years from now, the insurance companies will be the same one, as you said? You do the underwriting properly, the claims management, the core business.
I don't think so, because there is a lot of development going on. Look at all the embedded insurance, for example, which is developing. There are certain OEMs which are connecting to insurers. So I don't think it won't change. The important thing is to stay a little bit ahead of the curve of the developments, or to be able to adapt quickly and see the developments and not be too sleepy and then all of a sudden the business is gone. So yeah, there are certain developments which need to be observed, which we also do observe. One way of doing it is also looking to Asia or to Latin America. Certain things develop quicker there because they sort of jump certain stages because of the situation there being different. And so that's something which you always need to observe. But as I said, we are not present there. We are not in Asia. So we can observe it with our cooperation partners and we have a close look what's going on. But at the end of the day, it's not going to change from one day to the other, usually. Mm-hmm. But it's important to remain open and always have a radar out there to see, do we need to adapt? Is there some opportunity to embed some sort of insurance types or not? And then take advantage of that as well.
Embedding. Now, of course, we all talked a lot in the past years. AI, Web3, Metaverse. What do these three technologies inspire you?
I think the most important is AI for us. Again, as an insurer. Why? Because there you have most opportunities to streamline your processes, to optimize your processes. And if you look only at the part of fraud detection, claims handling with AI, there are loads of solutions out there. Most of them, they are not 100% usable yet as such, but there are so many developments ongoing. And I think this is where the big leaps will be. And we all are experimenting now, including us, with AI in different areas, be it in the legal areas. We have a lot of trials going on. But the main part is really claims handling. I think this is something which is, for the insurers, it's really such an important part and such a big cost driver. If you can take away costs there by applying AI intelligently, I think that's something which is very helpful.
And claim that's also where you show your clients that you actually really deserve the money they paid for their premium, right? That's what we often hear.
Absolutely.
So you deliver on your promise.
It's payday.
Yes. Blockchain, these kind of technologies for now, is it too far away?
As I said, for us at this point, it doesn't play a role now.
Okay. And now that does the metaverse, it's too far away.
Yeah, the metaverse, there are several other insurers who have tried that and who are still into it. I've seen some trials there and it's really entertaining. I really like it. It's really funny and everybody wants to try it out. I agree. It's really a nice thing to see. Is there business to be made there? Is it more than a gadget at this point? I'm not sure. So I didn't see a lot of business come in when I saw that being tried. But it's certainly something which is nice. I'm looking at the Luxembourg market. It's quite traditional still. There are lots of agents here and brokers. There's a lot of personal interaction. Do I see somebody walk into the metaverse instead of an agent? I don't see that now. But I don't exclude it in future. So again, it's something to have on the radar. Do I jump now into the metaverse space in Luxembourg? Probably not immediately.
You said before that you had to hire people. Do you have some tips and tricks on how to hire the right persons for your team?
That's a very good question, a very important part and very difficult. Frankly speaking, I rely a lot on the crowd intelligence here. I would never dare to take such a decision on my own. So typically we rely on headhunters, first of all, for the big positions. And then we have a lot of interviews with a lot of people. And then you have this crowd intelligence and this crowd guts feeling at the end of the day, where you have the technical dimension, the human dimension, would the person fit to the team dimension? We even send some of them to our coaches who know the team, who then can interview the person to make sure would the person fit into the team. So I think it needs to be a very diligent process, take a time to hire and make sure many people are convinced. And if then all of those people are convinced of the same person, then that gives me much more security to hire than if it was only me and an HR person. So it should be more people also reflecting the culture of the company. Do you see the person join the culture you are in? And does the person see him or herself in the culture? Because that's a very essential part. You're joining not a company, you're joining a culture and a team. And that's something you cannot change. I mean, you need to feel comfortable, both sides.
I have an important question. Would you have a job for me?
I first need to know as what, because otherwise I couldn't hire you.
I'm joking, of course. Do you have entrepreneurs in your company? How do you bring creativity in your team?
Well, we have a small innovation team, and we have some young people who are very innovative, and they are charged exactly with the topics you just mentioned before. For example, to check AI, to run some pilots, some projects. Since we are a small company, we don't do these big scale things, but we select very carefully what could make sense for us on the core business. You know, we don't do any innovation just for the sake of innovation. No, we really want to innovate on the core business. And there's lots which needs to be done, because you can do a process the old way, or you can innovate because you can do it better, smarter, or with the help of any specific tool or AI, for example. You can just do processes smarter. And that's where I see the potential really in the time we are in, which is about cost and profitability. So this is where you can actually get some lever, and that's where the budget would be then available.
How do you train people in these core competencies that you mentioned, underwriting, claims? How do you do that?
Either you hire technical experts. If you need an actuary, you cannot train this actuary. You need an actuary who has been trained at university as an actuary. Obviously, lots of the team members, of the younger team members, they're also trained on the job. So some of them, they come as generalists. And for example, in the operations department, they learn by their team members or by their superiors how to handle a claim, for example, or how to treat a new policy. And then they're growing in the job. So it's a lot learning and growing on the job as well.
So do you do online training, online courses, simulations, or mostly on the job?
We have both. I wouldn't be able to tell you the exact share. We have loads of online courses, compulsory and not compulsory, because already we have a lot of compulsory courses as well, which is absolutely necessary if you work in insurance, because there are lots of compliance courses, how to be compliant as an employee, how to behave, data protection, IT. I also have to do the same courses every year and get the certification at TIC, otherwise you have a black dot. So this is compulsory for everybody, and I think it's good. And then there are lots of online courses for everything, basically. We have a very huge library of online courses. Then you learn a lot on the job, and then there are obviously also courses which you can take abroad if they are not available here.
So let's say we know it's 2 years from now. What have you achieved?
What I have achieved? Well, I hope I have this final team. And they are bonded and they are working really well together. So we as Extended Comex were working really well together. And we have grabbed a lot of market share from our competitors here locally and extended the international business that in a very efficient and digital way. And we obviously very cost efficient and be able to pay our headquarter a little bit of money as well. So that's the head I have from the group function. I would like also to see our group as a group prosper, and that needs obviously financing. We're heading into a good direction that's very much achievable.
So a message to all the competitors of the Baloise group who are watching this interview. Watch out, because now you have Christine coming at you. Christine, it's been a great pleasure chatting with you. Thank you very much for your time. And I wish you to finalize your team, really bond together, go through the storming, not too tough one, and that you have a continuous positive energy like this. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much for the invitation, Phil. Take care.
Ciao,
bye-bye.
Ciao, ciao. That's all for today's episode, where we brought you some of the latest and greatest from the training, technology, and insurance worlds. Thanks for listening, and thanks to our guests for sharing their valuable insight with us. If you struggle to capture the knowledge of your experts, contact us. We'll record engaging interviews with them,
for you to share. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to our channel and leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. You can also find us on YouTube or LinkedIn, where you can watch the full video of this interview and many others. This interview was made possible thanks to our colleagues Laura Servadio for the coordination of this interview and Patrice Séjalon for a powerful remote interview studio based on AI. Until next time, stay safe and stay insured. Cheers!